In today's struggling housing market, have you been considering renting your home instead of selling it? Well, that can be a great decision or an awful one. It just depends on how you approach it. So today, our real estate expert, Monte Mohr, is going over some do's and don'ts when renting a home. Monte, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
This is a really interesting topic. A lot of people are doing this, but it can be dangerous. So you've
can
got some tips for us.
It can be. You know, I've been a landlord for about 10 years now. I've owned as many as 9 properties, and I can tell you from firsthand that I learned most of my stuff by trial and error, and nobody told me these things. That's why I want to share some things on
well, we're glad you're helping us out. First one, temperament. You say you got to have the temperament to be a landlord.
You do. Not everybody has the temperament. You need to think that, consider that. You know, can I be a hard guy to my tenants? Because if I act like I'm compassionate when the rent's late, then that priority of paying the rent just dropped another notch. So I have to ask myself, do I have the temperament? Can I sleep at night knowing somebody may not be taking care of the home as well as I would?
Yeah, exactly.
Big factor. Big factor.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, number 2, finding a good tenant, which is key to making it easier being a landlord, but it can be difficult finding a good tenant.
Well, it really can, you know, and I think the number one thing to remember in that process of looking for a good tenant is it's better for the home to sit empty than it is with the wrong tenant, because it takes months to get somebody out once they're in there. So, you know, I've got ways that I've learned over the process. We'll go through a couple more here real quickly, but the main thing is don't jump at the first person that wants to live in your house. Be patient. Make sure you do all the references.
Right. If not, you'll pay for it later.
You will.
Right?
You will.
Okay. So the third tip you have for us is who do you ask regarding references? What would you say?
Well, you know, I learned the hard way again that you don't just ask the current landlord, you ask the one before that, because the current one, if they're not good, will tell you whatever they want to hear to get rid of those people. And not only that, but you also check with the utility companies. If people do not have a record with the utility companies, a bill, in other words, in their name, that they may not be good tenant candidates, because the utility companies know how these games are played. So always ask for utility bills as well.
Because you want a track record of them paying.
You want a track record of how they've paid and that they've paid and been consistent.
Exactly. Good information. Okay, the next one, do you know your neighbors? Something to think about.
You know, I was so fortunate that my neighbors had my contact information one night when somebody moved out at midnight, because I wouldn't have known it. So if you don't know your neighbors, go around and introduce yourself. Make sure they have your contact information so they can get a hold of you if they see anything suspicious happening to the house, or like the people moving out in the middle of the night like they did with me that time.
Yeah, not good.
Not good. Not good.
Okay, another thing you say, a lot of people may be wondering this, but how do you know what to pay to ask for rent? Because it changes a lot.
It does change a lot, and that's why the only way I know it is really to go on Craigslist, something like that, and check to see what the prevailing rent is for a property like yours. It really varies from week to week, month to month, depending on supply and demand. And the best thing to do also in that process is to charge a little bit less than what the prevailing rent is. You'll have a lot more people to pick from. Okay.
Good info. Okay, so hiring a leasing company versus playing landlord yourself, what would you say about that?
If you have the margin to pay for a leasing company, by all means do that. They're far more objective. They know how the whole thing goes when evicting somebody. They're not going to get emotionally attached to the clients like sometimes the temptation is, you know, that kind of stuff, and to buy into their concern, their problems and so forth. So if you have the margin, they typically charge about 10% of the monthly rent. So if you can do that, by all means, pay somebody else to take care of it.
Okay, good info, and it really pays to have a good tenant. So, good information. Now, the home of the week. Talk about this
We've
place.
got a beautiful home in the Creve Hollow neighborhood. This is a 50s ranch that's been totally updated. This is an awesome property, about 2,000 square feet. The kitchen's been blown out with granite and tile and new appliances. A beautiful bonus room, rec room, family room put on the back of the home with a fireplace, a covered patio on the back side of the home. This is a big private lot. This home would normally sell for about $340,000. We've got it on the market for $299,900. Another example of my program, we sell homes for free.com. I'm not charging anything for these folks to sell their home because they're going to buy another home from me.
Beautiful house. We love it. Thanks, Monte.
Thank you so much.
Always good having you. Now, if you need help buying or selling your home, call the Mohr Group at 615-376-4400. Or to reach Monte directly, you can call 615-300-8393. We also have a link to the website WeSellHomesForFree.com on the Mohr Midday section of WSMV.com.